Well, what happened was we went out into the jungle off the fire base and looking out for the NVA, and I was behind the point man. As far as I recall, point with four guys out in front of us. I think we had the whole company out. But of course, we were sectioned off into platoons, and I was flanking one side, and then the shit hit the fan, and you could hear them all over the place, and it was intense. The firing was really intense. I guess I was probably the third platoon. I wasn't even the third platoon, but I'm just saying we were going to help the ones that were already injured. In other words, we knew that the first guys entering the first platoon that got ambushed, they were fucked up. So what we had to do was get to them and try and help them out. But in the meanwhile, we were getting hit also. And so wherever they was moving to my right of me, which was, there shouldn't have been anybody there, that's where I later, feel the fire constantly. And then the guys just started getting injured all around me. Guys flying in the air and shit like that. Guys, also their mommy and daddy, fucking, real shit, bad shit. So then Murray crawled up beside me. He says, "Man, we can't get out of this." I says, "No, we're gonna get out of it. Don't worry, just head straight back, wait for the rest of the guys." So other guys started coming up because we were basically in a retreat type situation. And we held up because for a while, because they told us that Company C was coming to help us. So that was the good news. So the best thing to do was to lay low, cover our asses, and just wait for Company C. And that's what we did. But now there was enemy around us firing at us still. And then there was a strange looking fucking thing that landed in front of my machine gun. Keep in mind, I'm laying down and waiting for somebody to come. The enemy. I'm like lock and rolling here. I'm lock and loaded. I got a 100 round of bandolier in my gun, and I'm just laying there. And all of a sudden, I see this grenade. Looks like a Chi-Com type thing, and I just put my hand to my face. That's the only thing I could do. Put my left hand to my face, and that thing went off, and forget about it. It was like, boom, I was deaf. I was bleeding, I was blind in one eye. My face was shattered, the right side. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it was like, now I look at it, now I gotta shoot whoever, I'm gotta fire. I got one eye. But I can't fire my rifle. I got my machine gun because the barrel is bent towards the sky. And I'm like, holy shit. Murray was next to me, and he had an M79 grenade launcher. And I told him where to fire it. And he ended up firing it up in the air. It hit the canopy of a tree, a big branch, and it came right down on us. Forget about it. So it didn't hurt us. I don't think so. Not Murray or I, or any guys that were in our vicinity. But just a sheer fact, we all looked at each other and just started laughing, giggling. And but eventually I got an M16. I patched myself up, my hand, which was bleeding. The back of my hand was all opened up. And so I was able to close that wound myself. And they told me my eye was fucked up. So there's nothing I could do about that. It was just, so we just laid low. An M16 I ended up getting in a bandolier. I remember they were making stretchers and stuff. And one guy in particular, he says, I don't need I wouldn't know his name, but it's an image that sticks in my mind forever, was he was just riddled, with how many times he was hit. But he was still had his thumbs up, and they were carrying him out, and there was a couple other guys, and we were hiding behind a big log. I don't know, it was like a log wall, if I recall, or the root system of a big tree that fell over. So me and this short black guy, I think his name was Robinson, and another guy, we were there taking alternate turns to help with what we could do with getting some of the guys that were wounded out, helping, establishing cover, machine gun firing, spray this area, George, spray this area, George. While they took somebody out of, helped somebody out, or move some guys out. So we were establishing like the makeshift temporary perimeter for the next, until we knew it was safe to stop pulling back. Well, that took hours, of course, and it seemed like hours anyway, to be quite honest with you. And then we heard Company C was coming to help us, so we pulled back, and then the small arms fire just continued endlessly. You could see some of the bamboo and small trees getting, ripped and falling down, and branches coming off the trees and shit. It was like, and a couple of guys getting hit and yelling medic, and it was like a low crawl back until we heard guys from C Company calling. And as soon as we knew it was C Company, of course we had to really make sure it was C Company. So Murray yells out, "Who won the World Series?" And I look at Murray, and I look at another guy behind me, and I don't know. And I'm like, "Who won the fucking World Series?" I don't know. We get no response from Company C. It's not Company C. I said, "Look, nobody knows who the World Series winners were." No. No, it turns out it was Company C. They didn't know who the World Series, but it was them. And they ended up establishing a trail for us to head back. So, and we were able to make it back. We, as far as I remember, was that a lot of the machine gunners were knocked out. Exactly who they were, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I was wounded. I went to Doc Toe, that got medevaced out. A bunch of other guys. We got into Doc Toe, the tented, what do you call it? Forward base camp, I think. And but that started getting hit real bad, and they managed to sew up my arm with wire sutures. So I had like I don't know, maybe 15 wire sutures in my hand, and I had a big patch over my eye. But they said, "You're going back to play cool."